in his right leg in a practice the other day. And, of course, for Iowa, Ronnie Lester, strained ligaments in his knee. The cast is off, but he's going to be sitting out. He might be out for a while, and that has forced Coach Lute Olson to make some adjustments in the starting lineup.
You've had a lot of adjustments there. Kenny Arnold has moved to the point guard position, and Kevin Boyle moved to that off guard. Vince Brookins making the start at forward. But the big story in this game, he wears number 30. They call him Black Magic for Drake. Lewis Lloyd, watch him against that vaunted Iowa defense. We'll see what happens. Tip-off just moments away. The Blackhawk Broadcasting Company presents University of Iowa basketball. Tonight's game sends the high-scoring and unbeaten Drake Bulldogs against the tenacious defense of the 10th-ranked and undefeated Iowa Hawkeyes. Welcome to a jam-packed Iowa Fieldhouse. Iowa against Drake. What a game this one ought to be. Iowa 8-0. They're ranked 10th by UPI, 11th by the Associated Press. But as you mentioned a little bit earlier, Ken Hughes, they have a man out, and they might be going with next year's lineup.
That's true. You look, Ronnie Lester is the only senior that's been starting for Coach Lute Olson, and with him sitting down, it's an all lower school, lower grade group going out there. A couple of sophomores and juniors out there. Kenny Arnold moving to the point guard. And opinion seems to be that Arnold's been the most improved Hawkeye this year. He surprised a few people by his consistent play so far.
Kenny Arnold averaging nearly 14 points a game. And I think the difference is going to be how right now the guards are their strength. Ronnie Lester and Kenny Arnold are extremely strong. They can go down the lane and do just incredible things with the ball. Now all of a sudden you move Kevin Boyle out there. His strength is not penetration inside. How do you think that might affect their offensive game?
Well, I don't think it will affect their offensive game all that much. Arnold will have to keep doing the penetrating, and they're just going to have to try moving Boyle down to the baseline where he can hit his favorite shot. And they're just going to have to keep the folks rotating, Brookins, Waite, and Krampus, and keep them moving down under. Of course, depending on the type of defense the Bulldogs throw out on them when they open up. But if Arnold can penetrate and they can keep that moving underneath and get Boyle down to the corner where he can do his own kind of penetrating, I don't think it'll hurt him that much.
Of course, they do have a really big lineup inside. Vince Brookins is 6'5" at one forward, Steve Krasnison at the other forward. He's 6'10". Steve Waite, a junior at center, he is also 6'10", and that's a lot bigger than the Bulldogs. A guy by the name of Lewis Lloyd has got a lot of problems getting inside on those big guys, doesn't he say?
Yeah, he's going to have his problems, but with his ability, I'm sure he'll be giving Krampus and Waite fits all afternoon if he lives up to his advanced billing. Lloyd, 6'6", a junior out of Philadelphia, led the nation in scoring in the junior colleges last year at the New Mexico Military Academy, where he averaged 31.5 points a game. He was a junior college All-American, and he's taken up this year right where he left off last year out in New Mexico with Drake. 31.9 average among the leading scorers. The top two, they keep changing back and forth as the game goes along, but right now he's right up there, the first or second leading scorer in the nation, and he's a good all-around ball player.
He can rebound real well. He'll shoot about 66% from the floor, and that's right up in the top 20 in the nation in shooting. And joining him will be a fellow by the name of Ernie Banks in the forward court. Not to be confused, of course, with that ex-Cubs ball player. Used to play for several years. Davy Johnson will be the center. Pop Wright, a big guard at 6'4", and one of the guards, Ron Angel, a Mason City product, will be at the other guard.
It'll be interesting to see what happens when the game finally gets underway. Lewis Lloyd has scored the first points for Drake in every game so far this year, either via the field goal or from the charity stripe. And might be interesting to see if that happens again and the way the game progresses from there, because if he comes out and scores the points and he sets the pace for him, the Hawkeyes might have their hands full today.
I'm kind of curious to see if the Hawks might go to a zone. Fox and one against the big Lewis Lloyd. Usually they have a man-to-man defense. We'll see.
I'm sure they won't give up on their pressing defense, especially after a made basket or a made free throw.
From Des Moines and the Missouri Valley Conference, let's give a warm Iowa greeting to Coach Bob Ortigo and the Drake Bulldogs.
And we're just about ready for your starting lineup. The big matchup for the mythical State College Basketball Championship, Iowa against Drake.
Lewis Lloyd.
And there he is, Black Magic, Lewis Lloyd, number 30, averaging 31.9 points a game.
Number 42, Ernie Banks.
Ernie Banks, a starter because Eric Sampson broke his leg. Ernie Banks, 6'7 junior.
Dave Johnson.
Davey Johnson, a 6'8 senior out of Oneida, Illinois, averaging a little over 11 points a ball game.
Right.
Pop Wright, a big guard, 6'4 junior, averaging nearly 18 points a game.
Angel.
And Ron Angel out of Mason City, a 6'1 junior, averaging 7 points a game. That's the starting five of the Drake Bulldogs, now 7-0.
Invitational. Currently ranked number 11 in the nation. Welcome to the crew of Lute Olson and the Iowa Hawkeyes.
A standing ovation for the Iowa Hawkeyes, ranked 11th by Associated Press, 10th by United Press International. Winners of the Dayton Invitational just last week.
And one forward, 6'9", number 44, Mark Gannon.
A big surprise. Mark Gannon will be starting instead of Vince Brookins. Mark Gannon will start at one forward. And there is Vince Brookins at the other forward.
Number 52, Steve Waite.
Steve Waite will start at center.
At the guard, 6'6", number 40, Kevin Boyle.
Kevin Boyle will start at guard.
6'2",
And Kenny Arnold at the other guard. Steve Krafsison will not start today. Big surprise. Mark Gannon and Vince Brookins will start at the forwards with Steve Waite at center, Kevin Boyle at the other guard. Kenny Arnold replaces Ronnie Lester at the point.
So far this year, Mark Gannon, the freshman out of West Des Moines Dowling, averaging just under 5 points a game, hitting 51% from the field, 8 out of 15 shots. We'll check that, 15 out of 29 from the floor, and his free throw average, 75%. That's a big surprise. I would have thought Coach Olson would have stuck with Krafsison and Wade underneath for that height advantage against a Drake team that admittedly is a bit shorter than the Hawkeyes are.
Should make a correction there. Mark Gannon out of Iowa City, Regina.
Iowa City, Regina. I got Mr. Hansen and Mr.
That's right. Both of them state champions. Bobby Hansen out of Des Moines Dowling. And we'll have Lewis Lloyd jumping center against Steve Waite. Both of them juniors. Waite with the height advantage at 6'10". Lewis Lloyd at 6'6". The Hawks in the white uniforms with the black and gold trim. Drake Bulldogs in blue with the white trim. And the tip goes to the Drake Bulldogs. That's Ron Angel out of Mason City, averaging over 7 points a game. And we get a foul right off the bat on Kenny Arnold.
Hawkeyes come out in a man-to-man defense. That time, Lewis Lloyd set up a screen, and the result of that was Arnold's foul on Angel.
So Kenny Arnold gets the first team foul. Lewis Lloyd can't shoot. Out to Angel. Trying to get inside on that outstanding Hawkeye defense.
They've gone to a zone now, Bob. Arnold is hawking the man out front, and they're in a zone all the way.
Pop right from outside, rebounded by the freshman from Regina, Mark Gannon. Gets it quickly to Arnold, to Vince Brookins from the corner. And he cannot hit. Pop right, in a hurry. And save to the Hawkeyes. Ernie Banks could not make the save for the Drake Bulldogs. And we are scoreless here in the first moment. We have a whistle. And it'll be against Ernie Banks, the 6'7 junior out of Peoria, making the start in the replace of the injured Eric Sampson. So both teams with a foul here in the opening moment. We still have no score. 19 minutes and 11 seconds to go here in the first half. Arnold to Boyle from the baseline, and he cannot hit. Lewis Lloyd, yes.
And for the 8th straight game, Lewis Lloyd has scored the first points for the Bulldogs. They take a 2-0 lead.
The Bulldogs on top 2-0. To Vince Brookins, looking inside. He'll have to go out to Kevin Boyle at point. Boyle tries to get it inside to Gannon for the free throw line. No good. Almost tipped through from the wrong direction. Quickly to Ron Angel. And the Bulldogs, averaging over 95 points a game, get it up the court in a hurry. And we have a foul inside, called against Kenny Arnold, his second. So quickly, Kenny Arnold is in foul trouble.
That will really hurt the Hawkeyes if he picks up that third one anytime soon, because Coach Olson cannot afford to have him foul out early in the second half.
Tipped out of bounds and will go to the Drake Bulldogs. Gannon and Waite getting their hands in the way there. Davy Johnson out in front to Ron Angel. Angel guarded by Arnold. Gets it to Lewis Lloyd. He can hit from there, and he does. He'll hit from anywhere on the court. He's already shown us 2 locations, averaging 31.9 points a game. Lewis Lloyd out of Philadelphia, PA. Kenny Arnold goes to offense, and it does not go down. Foul on Ron Angel out of Mason City.
Both teams seem to be sticking with man-to-man defense against one
foul
another.
charge number 25, top right, is first.
Drake Bulldogs have jumped off to a 4-0 lead. Maybe we even ought to say Lewis Lloyd has jumped off to a 4-0 lead, because all the points belong to Lewis Lloyd at this point. Black Magic out of New Mexico Military Academy, junior college top player of a year ago. And Arnold misses the first one.
Arnold, a 80% shooter from the charity stripe. I wonder if this week-long break has kind of got the Hawkeyes a little bit rusty.
And he misses a pair, and Dave Johnson, the Bulldogs' top rebounder, comes away with it. That's Angel to Ernie Banks, and he travels. Ernie Banks taking an extra step as he tried to go to work.
Crowd trying to rally the Hawkeyes to get a couple points on that board. Just over 2 minutes gone in the opening half, and they're still scoreless.
Kenny Arnold wants to go to work, and he doesn't get it. Kenny Arnold has picked up his 3rd foul, an offensive foul. Lute Olson a little bit angry, and Bobby Hansen quickly off the bench, getting out of his warm-up, and Kenny Arnold, trying to take Ronnie Lester's place here in the opening moments, quickly has 3 fouls, and he will sit down with 17 minutes and 49 seconds to go here in the first half.
This will be a big test for a young Hawkeye squad out there. We'll see now just what kind of team Coach Lute Olson has.
2 freshmen on the court at this point, Mark Gannon and Bobby Hansen. That's Hansen guarding Angel, and Angel goes to work immediately to Lewis Lloyd, and Lloyd off balance, does not hit it. Vince Brookins high above the rim to bring it down. That's Brookins. To Boyle. Inside to Gannon against Lloyd. Tip in by Boyle for 2.
Now the Hawkeyes get a chance to get that full court press onto the Bulldogs. Let's see what kind of effect it has on it. Right up the court.
To Lewis Lloyd. Off balance, Vince Brookins takes it out of midair. Ahead to Waite. Waite to Bobby Hansen. No good. Tried to tip it away. Mark Gannon for a layup. So Mark Gannon picks up the garbage, and we're tied at 4. 16 and a half minutes to go here in the opening half. Ernie Banks. And Lewis Lloyd cannot hit it. Banks trying to get off the floor. He's hurt. And Vince Brookins brings it down. Ernie Banks must be okay.
Great job of defense that time down by Steve Waite. Stopped the fast break and kept the ball loose. Good job.
A little bit ragtag here in the opening moments. And we have an offensive foul against Bobby Hansen. All 4 fouls against the point guard of that Hawkeye offense.
Ron Angel, a good job that time of setting up the screen. He was in the good position. That was a good call by the official.
14 fouls on Iowa Hawkeyes. And 7, of course, means the bonus situation. So Drake brings it down court. Ron Angel across the timeline, guarded heavily in there by Bobby Hansen. Now Waite picks him up. It over to Davy Johnson. Inside, stolen by Gannon, but picked up by Wright. And Wright playing a little ghetto ball there. Doesn't work. Traveling is the call, and the Hawkeyes get it out of bounds. Trying to take the lead for the first time in the ball game. We're tied at 4 apiece here. It's a little over 4 minutes gone. Vince Brookins to Bobby Hansen. To Brookins at the free throw line, and he traveled. A few too many Christmas cookies, I think, for both of these teams. A lot of mistakes here in the early going.
Well, you kind of expect that after both teams haven't been on the floor in a game since last Saturday when Drake beat Texas Arlington and Iowa won the Dayton Invitational. A little rusty in the early going.
Lewis Lloyd guarded by Waite. Ernie Banks with a turnaround. Top right with inside position, and the foul on Kevin Boyle. Appeared to be a good call. Top right did have inside position. And Kevin Boyle commits the foul, the 5th team foul on the Hawks. Dave Johnson, the big guy, 6'8", gets it to top right, who almost travels, and he forces a shot. Brookins on the fast break. They take it all the way. Slows it down to Bobby Hansen. And Brookins for 2, and the Hawks on top, 6-4 over the Drake Bulldogs. 6 straight points for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Lewis Lloyd to a wide-open Ernie Banks, and he is fouled by Steve Waite. Appeared that Ernie Banks had the shot from the left side. If he used his left hand, he tried to cross under, fouled by Steve Waite.
Ernie Banks caught Vince Brookins asleep there underneath. He sneaked in the back door. Good pass underneath there, and Waite had to foul to prevent the bucket.
Nayron Monk into the ball game. He's a 6'3" senior out of Detroit. He'll replace top right. Monk averaging only 1.5 the ball game, but he's also a big guard. He's a senior.
Banks, a 56% shooter from the free throw line, made the first one to cut the Iowa depth lead to 1. And the second one bounces in there.
We have a tie score at 6 apiece, and Drake puts on a press of its own, trying to test some irregular guards, Boyle and Hansen. Waite tries to get it inside, knocked away by the Bulldogs. And that's Jeff Hill in the ball game, and the Bulldogs cannot hit it. Ahead to Bobby Hansen. Around to Hansen again, to Boyle, to Hansen, to Brookins in the corner, and the Bulldog defense keeping them away from penetrating to the inside. A couple of new guards for the Bulldogs at this point, Nayron Monk and Jeff Hill. And that's Hill against Hansen, to Boyle, to Gannon, who cannot hit. Bounced around, Waite picks it up, tries to save it, and it goes to Nayron Monk. And the fans want to call there. Lewis Lloyd to the baseline's good. Fans thinking that Monk turned it over, but Lewis Lloyd picks up another 2. He now has 6 in the ball game. Drake on top, 8-6. Vince Brookins. We have a foul on Monk. Excuse me, that's Ernie Banks. His second personal and second team foul for the Bulldogs. Going to the free throw line, Vince Brookins.
Brookins, an 85% free throw shooter from the line, averaging 8.2 a game. Has been fairly successful for Coach Lute Olson coming off the bench prior to Ronnie Lester getting hurt.
A very, very strong offensive player, slightly suspect on defense. He cans the first one, cuts the Drake advantage to 1. Second one is no good. Battle inside. Lewis Lloyd comes away with a rebound. Ahead to Jeff Hill. Hill in the corner to Monk. Hill guiding that Drake Bulldog offense, guarded by Hansen. Over to Monk. Inside to Lewis Lloyd, who has 6 already, and now he has 8.
A fluid motion if there ever was one.
As graceful as a swan, he just looks so pretty out there. Lewis Lloyd has 8 points, and the Bulldogs on top 10-7. Gannon looking inside, trying to find Waite. Kevin Boyle to Vince Brookins. The Hawks not moving out there. Now inside to Gannon, almost 3 seconds, and Hansen from 18 feet does not hit. Gannon from 10 also cannot hit, so Hansen will try it again. And the freshman finally pick up the pair of points for the Hawkeyes. And the Bulldogs lead 10-9. 12 minutes and 40 seconds to go here in the opening half. A low-scoring affair at this point, except for that man. Lewis Lloyd has 10 points. Black magic, they call him, and he sure works that magic inside from just about all over. The Bulldogs on top 12-9. Inside to Bobby Hansen. He tries to cross-court it inside the lane to Steve Waite. The Hawkeye fans want a foul. They do not get it.
Hawkeyes being just a little bit too cautious, it appears, on offense. One pass too many, which usually is the way coaches want it to be. But in this instance, that time, they had the shots going up, tried to pass it off. It goes out of bounds. Luckily, the Hawkeyes were able to retain possession. But that man-to-man defense the Bulldogs are putting on has stymied the Hawkeye potent offense so far.
And there's a timeout on the floor with the score. The Drake Bulldogs 12, the Iowa Hawkeyes 9. We'll be back in just a moment. Back at the Iowa Fieldhouse, Drake on top at the moment, 12-9. Lewis Lloyd providing a little black magic for this crowd. He has hit 5 of 7 field goals for 10 points. The Bulldogs now scored a 3-point lead, and the Hawks having a little trouble from the free throw line.
Yeah, I think they made only 1 out of 4 so far. And as a team, they hit 73% from the free charity stripe, and they had been leading the Big Ten, but having some problems so far.
Pop right back into the ballgame for the Drake Bulldogs. And Tony Watson is in there as well. He's number 31, replacing Ernie Banks. Bobby Hansen, Vince Brookins, Mark Gannon, Steve Waite, and Kevin Boyle in the ballgame. Kenny Arnold in foul trouble. He has 3 fouls quickly in 2.5 minutes of the first half, and he had to sit down. And Bobby Hansen cans 2 to pull the Hawks within 1. Jeff Hill quickly brings it up over to Pop right in the corner. Tries to look inside to Lewis Lloyd. Around to Johnson. Brings that high post a little bit higher than the Bulldogs probably wanted. Nice try on the pass from Hill to Lloyd, but it does not work.
Good defense that time by Kevin Boyle underneath, staying on Lewis Lloyd. The Bulldogs now have switched into a zone defense, apparently. Looks like a 2-1-2. Now they've switched back into a man-to-man. Trying to keep the Hawkeyes confused.
Vince Brookins has it. Over to Bobby Hansen, who fumbles it momentarily to Mark Gannon. He usually likes that shot. So does Vince Brookins. Tipped away, almost fouled by Tony Watson. But the Bulldogs come away, fast break. Missed by Jeff Hill. But Pop Wright will try it from 18. No good. Kevin Boyle having a little trouble. He'll get it across to Bobby Hansen. The Hawks appear a bit confused. They definitely missed their team leader, Ronnie Lester. And, of course, Kenny Arnold out there as well. Incredible. Don't even know who to credit that one to. It just kind of tipped up there.
They give it to Brookins. He was the closest one to it at the time.
Seemed like it went off a couple of hands, and the Hawks get a couple of points there. They take the lead, 13-12, only their second lead of the ball game. Davey Johnson trying to go inside over to Pop Wright. Jeff Hill inside to Johnson as well. He almost travels and forces it inside to Watson for 2. It appears that Davey Johnson traveled before he got the ball inside to Tony Watson.
Lute Olson,
no matter, they do not call it.
Lute Olson was one of the many who thought that. He was up off the bench that time, giving the traveling sign to the officials.
Steve Waite inside and rings around. The Hawks on top 15-14. We're at the halfway mark of the first half. 10 minutes to go. And we get traveling. And the Hawkeye fans are so happy that they finally see a traveling call, they give the officials a standing ovation.
Bob, we're halfway through the first half. Iowa, a 1-point lead over the Bulldogs, 15-14. And like you said earlier, having both Lester and Arnold out of the lineup has hurt Iowa so far. A little disorganized.
A couple of freshmen in there, Gannon and Hansen. This is inside to Waite. He scores over Watson.
Lloyd
Steve
hitting.
Waite with 4 points.
And he is 55% from the field, and he's starting to show that.
The Hawks up by 3. Try to get it to Watson. Boy, could he go up. Bobby Hansen comes down with it. Brings it across the timeline, guarded by Angel. Gets a screen from Gannon. We get a foul on Ron Angel. That's the second personal on Angel, a 6'1 junior out of Mason City. And Drake has called a timeout.
17.
And there's a timeout on the court with 9 minutes and 20 seconds to go here in the first half. Iowa on top 17-14. We'll be right back. Who is sitting this one out with an injured knee. The Hawks hope to have him back in the lineup within the next couple of weeks. Of course, the Hawks open up against Big Ten opponent Illinois in Champaign next Thursday night.
The last foul charged to Ron Angel. Bob Hansen shooting 2.
Bobby Hansen at the free throw line. Iowa on top 17-14. And the Hawks continue to be very cold from the charity stripe.
Hansen only a 45% shooter from the charity stripe. And the Hawkeyes need to get those free throws in there. Like that.
6'5 freshman cans that one. Iowa on top by 4, 18-14. With just over 9 minutes to go here in the first half. Ron Angel directing that Bulldog offense. Trying to get it inside over to Davy Johnson. Johnson dribbling with the left hand. Back to Angel inside to Black Magic. Double teamed nicely by Gannon and Waite. Almost stolen by Brookins. Johnson for the free throw line. And Iowa on top 18-16 at this point.
When Johnson gets open, he is potent. He is 56% from the field.
Some very good shooters in that Drake lineup. Lewis Lloyd has hit 64% of his shots. Ernie Banks 53%. And Ron Angel 55%. They go along with Mr. Johnson. Steve Waite, who also can hit, is the pair for Iowa.
Ernie Banks even, I think, got a finger on that ball, and Waite still got it in there.
Waite's the leading scorer for Iowa at this point. He has 6 points. Pop right with the ball. Tries to go to Lewis Lloyd, who gets it to Banks, who travels.
Banks couldn't quite find the handle on that one. Had to take the extra step. Officials are right there to call it. The Hawkeyes get the ball back with a bucket that could go to a 6-point lead. And a switch. The Bulldogs are using the full court press, and Iowa has not been using it that much yet.
A little bit lax with that full court press. Drake now with 6 turnovers in the game. Iowa has 3. That's pretty much the difference right now as Iowa on top 20-16 in this battle of unbeaten. Vince Brookins tries to get it inside to Mark Gannon, who makes a nice move on Lewis Lloyd. The freshman puts the move on the super junior. Mark Gannon, 22-16 Iowa. Ron Angel from the free throw line. Batted up there, Lewis Lloyd, and foul on Lloyd. The first personal on the junior college All-American.
Lewis Lloyd hits first.
And that'll be Drake. The 5th team foul on Drake. I thought that was going to be number 6. So the fouls for both teams starting to even up. Neither team yet into the 1-and-1.
If you joined us late, Kenny Arnold now on the bench. He has 3 quick fouls in the opening moments. Iowa has 16 fouls, so the next one will put Drake in the bonus situation. Drake now with 5 team fouls, so they need a couple of more to put the Hawks in the bonus situation. Mark Gannon cannot hit, and Pop right comes down for the Bulldogs. Quickly, he gets it up court. Looks ahead to Lewis Lloyd. Instead over to Ronnie Angel. Angel to Johnson. Back to Angel. Back to Johnson. Back and forth between the pair. And that Iowa defense that likes to push you out a little bit further did a good job there. Pop right from 20. Good.
Basket by number 25.
22-18 now the lead for the Hawks.
Wright is no slouch from the floor either. He gets open, he can hit too, just like Lloyd. Not quite as good, but just about like him.
Wright averaging close to 18 points a ball game, the second leading scorer of the Drake Bulldogs. Gannon cannot hit, and the Bulldogs come away across the timeline as Ronnie Angel. Angel for the free throw line, no good. Steve Waite fumbles it, comes down. Ahead to Vince Brookins. This game starting to look a little like an inter-squad scrimmage. They get it inside to Mark Gannon, and Iowa on top by 6.
Nice assist that time from Vince Brookins. Could have gone up with a shot. Saw the open man underneath and got the ball there.
Top right appeared to have traveled. He did step out of bounds, and the Hawks will get the ball as the Bulldogs commit another turnover.
And Steve Kraftsson coming into the game for the Hawkeyes. He'll give Steve Wade a rest. Also back into the game, Jeff Hill replacing Ron Angel for the Bulldogs.
Steve Kraftsson, a surprise non-starter, the first game he has not started. And Mike Henry will also come into the game as the Hawks call a timeout. Iowa on top at this point, 24-18. I mentioned a couple of moments ago there, Ken, that the game kind of taking on the appearance of an inter-squad scrimmage. Both teams kind of hurrying it up and down the floor, not getting really good shot selection, and they seem to need to get it under control a little bit.
Well, I think both teams are struggling to get control of the flow of the game. At the opening, things were rusty. They were traveling calls, passes that weren't exactly as sharp as they should have been. Now they seem to have some more intensity, and they're pumped up a little bit more, and that's putting the ragged edge on the other end, where you've got them hurrying up and not taking the time for that one more pass, just like before when they were taking the pass too many. Now they're not quite getting enough passes in there. So I think by the time they get through this opening half, the second half comes around, I think they'll have the flow under control, and it'll be more controlled and probably the type of game everybody was expecting.
The flow of the game, that is also important. Of course, Drake coming in, averaging well over 95 points a game. They like to just run and gun. Iowa plays a little bit more controlled type of game. They lead the nation currently in scoring margin, but at this point, they do not look like they have their offense in gear, although they're doing a pretty good job on defense. Right now, the Hawks on top, 24-18. We have a little over 6 minutes to go here in the first half. In the ball game will be for the Hawkeyes, Mike Henry, he's number 42. Bobby Hansen, number 24. Steve Kraftsson is 54. Kevin Boyle, number 40. And Vince Brookins is number 32. For the Bulldogs currently, Pop Wright is in there. So is Ernie Banks. Jeff Hill in the ball game, Lewis Lloyd, and Dave Johnson.
And the Bulldogs seem to be sticking to a man-to-man defense against the Hawkeyes.
Kraftsson to Brookins from 18, and he hits. Iowa with their biggest lead in the ball game, 26-18. Brookins with 7 points. That's tops for the Hawks. Pop right around to Jeff Hill. Guarded by Hansen, almost stolen by Boyle, the great defensive player. Pop right trying to get it under control, around to Hill. Hill asking upright to come around. To Johnson on the other side, guarded by Brookins. Johnson wants to go to work. Can't put it home. Special K brings it down. The Hawks can put their lead up to 10. Vince Brookins will shoot. Blocked by Ernie Banks. Foul by Ernie Banks. A little bit of a slow whistle, and the foul on Ernie Banks.
And that's the third one on Ernie Banks. That's also the 16th foul for Drake. So the next foul by either club will put the opposition into the 1-and-1.
Going to the free throw line, Vince Brookins.
Brookins, 85% from the charity stripe.
See what he does with this opportunity. Can give Iowa its biggest lead, and he does. 9 points. 27-18. Bob Ortigal on the sideline trying to talk it over a little bit with Pop Wright as Vince Brookins tries to put down a pair. He cannot. Tipped away. Mike Henry, the tree, comes away, saves it to Pop Wright. The Bulldogs 1-on-2, but Wright will go to the basket anyway. Brought down by Vince Brookins, who's had a few rebounds. He's really getting up in the air. There's Kraftsson. Does not go. That's Hill. Hill over to Lewis Lloyd, who looks like he almost travels. And we get a foul on Mike Henry.
Nice pass that time by Lewis Lloyd. He could have tried to take the shot, but I believe he would have gotten it slammed right back in his face. Was able to get it to Pop Wright underneath the board. He was fouled by Mike Henry.
Pop Wright at the free throw line, averaging just about 18 points a ball game. 6'4" junior out of Baltimore, Maryland. Both teams extremely cold from the free throw line. Iowa on top 27-18. And Vince Brookins will sit down. He has 8 points in the ball game. Mark Gannon, the superb freshman out of Iowa City, Regina, back in the lineup. And Wright cans the second one. The lead now 8. Iowa 27-19. Hansen guarded by Hill. Over to Boyle, has a little bit of trouble with it. Inside to Krasnison, tipped away, and we'll have a foul. I believe it is on Hill.
Foul is on number 20, Jeff Hill.
Yes, it is, and that means the Hawks are in the bonus situation. Steve Krasnison will get a 1-and-1.
Krasnison will shoot 2.
Krasnison 72% from the charity stripe. And they're
1-and-1.
checking. They are in the 1-and-1.
Krasnison not shooting the ball. He was just really trying to get a handle on the pass. He will try a 1-and-1, and he will get the bonus. 28-19 Iowa. And after a fast start by Lewis Lloyd, in which he picked up 10 of the first 12 points for Drake, he has not been going to the basket as much. The second one also good. Iowa's biggest lead now 10, 29-19 over the Bulldogs. That's Hill guarded by Gannon. Davy Johnson from the top of the free throw circle. Rebounded by Lewis Lloyd. Lloyd will not get it this time. Mike Henry, as the call of tree comes up from the Hawkeye faithful. Gannon on the baseline, tries to backdoor it to Krasnison. We have a scramble. And Tony Watson came away, got it to Pop Wright. Wright with some fancy stuff and throws the ball away. Intercepted by Hansen, who has a little trouble with a handle. To Gannon for 2. Iowa by 12, 31-19.
Pop Wright tried to get the foul that time. Off the layup, didn't get it. No foul. Good call by the officials. And the Iowa fans are in ecstasy right now. 12-point lead for the Hawks.
It would appear that the flow of the game has definitely gone the way of the Hawks, and we have a foul.
Into the green line on number 12, Aaron Fox.
Check to see if it is with Mike Henry. Foul is on Henry. That will put the Bulldogs into the bonus situation. 7th team foul on Iowa. The second foul on Mike Henry, who was coming to the ball game in that forward slot. Henry, a 6'9 junior out of Elgin, Illinois. And Watson hits the first one. He'll get the bonus.
The Hawkeyes are controlling the tempo of the game, even though Drake is trying to run it, as is what they like to do. And so far, the Hawkeyes have been able to contain that running game.
Watson hits a pair, and the lead is now 10. Pressure, but not real tough pressure, put on by the Bulldogs, and Boyle gets it across easily. Guarded by Naren Monk. Over to Gannon. Looks inside to Boyle. His favorite shot from the baseline. It will not go down. We have a whistle. And the foul is on Mike Henry, his third.
And that will bring
Mike Henry charged with his third.
Vince Brookins apparently back into the game. Steve Waite stood up for a moment. Now it's Brookins. He'll come in, and the tree will sit down.
So Tony Watson, who just hit a pair of free throws, will get the bonus situation once again. As Iowa is on top at this point, 31-21, with 3.5 minutes to go here in the first half. Watson likes to take the deep breath before he shoots it. It did not work that time. Kevin Boyle brings it down. Across to Bobby Hansen, who seems to always take a look at Lute Olson before he comes down to check to see what offense that they want to be running. Steve Krasnison inside to Gannon. Rejected by Watson, and foul on Watson.
Nice pass from Krasnison to Gannon underneath. I didn't think the pass was going to get in there. Somehow Gannon came up with it.
Foul charge number 31.
And Tony Watson really had to take a swipe at it to deny Gannon the basket.
His first.
So Mark Gannon, who already has 8 points in the ball game, tied with Vince Brookins as the top scorers for the Hawkeyes at this point, has a chance to put in a couple of more. And the first one is perfect.
The form of a 75% free throw shooter.
And we have a timeout. Bob Ornigal has called a timeout for the Drake Bulldogs. And I think what he wants to talk over just a little bit is the offensive situation for the Bulldogs.
Yeah,
they're not getting the ball to Lewis Lloyd.
They're not getting the ball to Lewis Lloyd, and it's just not much of an offense. There's no pattern to it. They're just running and passing and trying to find the open man. There's no rhyme or reason to it, and they've got to settle down into a pattern if they hope to battle that Hawkeye man-to-man defense that even without Lester and without Arnold out top has been doing an outstanding job of keeping the folks out on top and keeping the ball away from Lewis Lloyd. 3:11 left in the first half. Iowa with a 32-21 lead. In the early going Rusty play, they traded baskets back and forth. Drake would take a 2-point lead. Then Iowa would come back with the lead. They led 13-12. Iowa did with 10:45 left. And from there, they seemed to take off. Up their lead at 1 point to 31-19 just about a minute and a half ago. And it's 32-21. Bobby Hansen will be coming out to the free throw line for the second of his 2 shots off the foul.
Okay, a very young lineup for the Iowa Hawkeyes in there at the moment. Of course, we have Bobby Hansen, Mark Gannon, Kevin Boyle, Steve Krasison, and Vince Brookins. That means 1 sophomore, 2 freshmen, and 2 juniors. Ronnie Lester, of course, on the bench in his street clothes. He just had the cast removed from his knee, and the Hawks are hoping that they'll get him back in action very soon. Meanwhile, Kenny Arnold is on the bench. He got 3 very quick fouls in the first 2.5 minutes. And that has meant that Bobby Hansen has been at the controls of that Hawkeye offense, that very important point guard position. Mark Gannon for the second of his 2 free throws, and it will not go down. Lewis Lloyd with an easy rebound gets it to Jeff Hill. Hill quickly to Nayron Monk. Rick Watley in the ball game. He's number 45 for the Drake Bulldogs. That's Hill to Lewis for slam. You betcha.
Number 38, Lewis Lloyd.
Lloyd got himself free that time, and the passing lane was there, and it was the stuff for Lloyd. A little bit more pressure now being put on Boyle as he brings the ball up court against Nayron Monk.
Bobby Hansen, started by Hill, over to Boyle. Inside to Krasison. That's Watley on him. To Brookins, over to Hansen again. Hansen, a little tentative, wants to get it inside, cannot. But Boyle can to Krasison. Blocked. Should have been goaltending. It is goaltending.
Unusual. The goaltending call was made by the out referee, too, not the referee under the bucket. That's why there was kind of a delay there. The Hawkeyes almost got it in on the rebound, but it counts.
Krasison gets a pair. Tony Watson blocking it after it had hit the glass. That is basket interference, and Krasison picks up another 2. He now has 4 in the ball game. Drake trying to get it inside to Lloyd. Last time it was the slammer. Good for 2, of course, and Iowa on top at this point, 34-23. Watley wants to go to work, cannot. That's Watson. He cannot hit. We have a foul on Bobby Hansen.
Hansen hacked Watson on the arm as he went up, and the basket didn't go in, but Watson will be to the free throw line for a pair of them with 1:51 left. Iowa keeping that lead right around the 10-point margin, 34-23 at this point.
Hansen, his second personal. And Watson has 2 free throws coming. The first one is good. Randy Norton into the ball game late here in the first half. Norton has been injured and has not played much. The lead now 10 for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Watson 50% from the free throw line, and he adds 2 to his percentage.
Steve Wade in the ball game. Steve Krasison also sat down. Kevin Boyle, guarded by Nayron Monk. Boyle wants a little bit of help from Vince Brookins, does not get it over to Randy Norton. To Brookins. Brookins guarded closely there by Lloyd. And Brookins wants to do a little one-on-one, but instead gets it over to Boyle, who is just about hammered, and instead he travels. Traveling the call on the sophomore from Chicago.
And Lute Olson can't believe it. Walking up and down in front of the bench, hands behind his head. The telltale sign that the call was not correct as far as Coach Olson was concerned.
Jeff Hill, guarded by Norton. Hill wants to go to work on the youngster inside to Watson. And Watson has a couple. The lead now at 7. Iowa on top of Drake by 7 only, 34-27. Ahead quickly to Vince Brookins. Nice shot. Vince Brookins now with 10 points, a team high. Less than a minute to go here in the first half. Over to Watley. Nice move on the baseline, and he will not get it. He stepped on the baseline.
Stepped out of bounds. The Hawkeyes bring the ball back down the court. The Bulldogs look like they want to press the Hawkeyes, but it doesn't look like they're organized enough to do it, Bob.
Right, it's a little bit of a tentative press. Randy Norton, now the point man for the Hawks, gets it to Boyle in the corner, tries to look inside to Waite. To Brookins from 21 feet, good. Vince Brookins now with 12, he's red hot. 25 seconds to go here in the first half. We'll see if Drake works it for the last shot. They do not.
Hill try to get the ball to Lloyd underneath. Lloyd was breaking toward the outside, could not recover the ball out of bounds, and Norton brings it down the court for the Hawkeyes.
Tough to read the other guy's mind. About 10 seconds to go here in the first half. Vince Brookins to Randy Norton. Over to Boyle.
A little bit of four corners here to run down the clock and get that last shot. But
now we're down to 5
seconds.
And the ball knocked out of bounds and will go to Drake. Mark Gannon could not hold it. It'll be doubtful if the Bulldogs can get off a really good shot. The first half. And that's Hill. No good. So it's halftime here at the Iowa Fieldhouse. Iowa on top by a score of 38-27. We'll be back in just a moment with Ken Hughey. Iowa on top at this point, 38-27 by 11 points. After the Bulldogs jumped out to an early lead, they were up 12-9 in the early going. We saw a show put on by Black Magic Lewis Lloyd.
Boy, he was smooth in that early going, but after about the halfway point of the first half, the Bulldogs just couldn't seem to get the ball to Lewis Lloyd. A couple of times they would pass it, he'd be ready to go another way, and they just weren't making connections with Lloyd. He ended up with 12 points in the first half. He and Brookins both have they're tied for the leading scorers so far in the game.
Of course, Lloyd does have 12 points, as Ken mentioned. Watson has 8 for the Bulldogs, Wright with 3, Johnson with 2, and Banks with 2. For the Hawkeyes, Brookins has 12 at this point. Mark Gannon with 9, Steve Waite with 6, Hansen has 5, Krasserson with 4, and Boyle has 2. Of course, the University of Iowa has many distinguished alumni, both in athletics and in academics. Second half just about ready to get underway. The Iowa Hawkeyes on top of the unbeaten Drake Bulldogs, 38-27 at this point. Iowa will go with the same lineup that started the ball game, and it was a surprising starting lineup. Vince Brookins was at one forward with Mark Gannon at the other. At the guard spots, Kenny Arnold and Kevin Boyle, and Steve Waite was the center. For the Drake Bulldogs, Jeff Hill is in there. Tony Watson, top right, Lewis Lloyd, and Dave Johnson. And Lewis Lloyd will jump center with Steve Waite. First half statistics, Iowa shot 51% from the field, while Drake shot only 33% from the field, and that is the difference at this point, as the Hawks on top by 11 points.
Drake also had more turnovers, 3 more than Iowa. Drake had 9 in the first half, 6 of them for the Hawkeyes.
And as in the first half, Lewis Lloyd outjumped Steve Waite. The tip goes to Jeff Hill. Gets it around to Pop Wright. Tries to go inside to Lloyd. And he wheels and deals for 2.
And we can expect Lloyd to come out smoking because he is a second-half player. Last Saturday against Texas Arlington, he scored 23 of his 33 points in the second half.
Kenny Arnold back in the ballgame. He had 3 quick fouls in the first half. Vince Brookins licks inside him. Instead goes to Waite. Tries to get it to Gannon. Intercepted by Wright. And Wright stepped on the line, and the ball will go to the Hawks.
A few other halftime stats from the first half. Brookins and Lloyd, of course, the leading scorers, 12 each for Vince and for Lewis Lloyd. Mark Gannon had 8 for the Hawkeyes. Tony Watson also 8 for the Bulldogs.
Kenny Arnold, a little trouble, gets it to Boyle, who's wide open at the baseline. Hits the top of the board. Gannon fighting for rebound with Tony Watson. Watson comes away with it, gets it to Hill. Hill quickly cross-court, guarded by Kenny Arnold. Let's see if they work it inside to Lewis Lloyd again, and we have a jump ball.
Good defense that time by Kenny Arnold, tying Lloyd up out there in Lloyd's forecourt there. And I think, just off the top of my head, I think Lewis might be able to outjump Arnold.
Well, except for that's Jeff Hill.
That's Jeff Hill out there.
And Jeff Hill does outjump Kenny Arnold, gets it to Lewis Lloyd.
See, I was
Back
right.
to Hill.
Got it to Lewis.
That's what they got to do. They're to pop right out to Hill again. They keep looking inside to Lloyd. Lloyd going to work on Steve Waite. No good. High above the rim. Vince Brookins, who has it knocked away by Johnson, but Brookins ahead to Gannon. Inside to Waite, has trouble with it. Gannon to Brookins, who just about had his 13th and 14th points of the ball game. Quickly, Hill, down court, inside to Lloyd. Each time Lloyd has gone to the hoop, and this time the foul is on Waite. So Bob Ortegal has had a talk with his Bulldogs at halftime, and he has said, we are going to the Magic Man, Black Magic. And each time Lloyd has gone to the hoop, he connected the first time. The second time was no good. This time he was fouled by Waite. Waite is second personal, and the first team foul on the Hawks in the second half.
Lloyd 72% from the charity stripe, and he misses the first one. And as Bob mentioned, Lewis Lloyd is coming out ready to take charge in this half and try and take the tempo away from the Hawkeyes that they had when the first half came to an end.
And the second one is good. Cuts the Hawks advantage to 8. Iowa on top, 38-30. A little bit tougher pressure this time by the Bulldogs. Boyle across to Brookins. He goes to work on Johnson. Almost tipped in by Boyle. And Hill out racing Gannon. Across to Lloyd, to pop right, who wheels and deals out to Johnson. Inside to Lloyd. Good. Some very quick passing by the Drake Bulldogs. And they showed you why they are averaging over 95 points a ball game. The advantage now 6. The Hawks have failed to score here in the opening moments of the second half. Under 18 minutes to go in the ball game. Inside to Brookins, no good. Tipped up, and Boyle comes away with it. And we do have a whistle. The foul
is on number 20.
It's on Jeff Hill.
Will be on Jeff Hill. A little bit of confusion as to who was going to get that foul. Jeff Hill will get it, his second personal, and the second team foul. Excuse me, the first team foul on the Drake Bulldogs. Kevin Boyle cannot hit and quickly tries to pick up his rebound. Kenny Arnold, no foul called on pop right. He was all over his back. Arnold up, gets it to Gannon, to Boyle, who goes to work with the left hand. The will not go down. And the Bulldogs get it.
A lot of loose balls falling around down there on the court. A lot of grabbing for it and getting just a little bit sloppy there, especially underneath.
Hill guarded closely by Arnold. Hill up the lane.
Wow.
And he just kind of threw it up there, and it baked in off the glass. Drake making a comeback. They're down by 4, and we have a foul on Hill, his third. And Hill gets a hug from Tony Watson, and we have a timeout.
Foul is on number 20, Jeff Hill, his third.
And Iowa is on top 38-34. We'll be right back.
That is the second team.
An 11-point lead is now a 4-point lead for the Iowa Hawkeyes as they lead the Drake Bulldogs 38-34. The Bulldogs come out smoking here in the second half and scored the first 7 points.
And
Very slight full-court pressure. Excuse me, Ken.
And Iowa has yet to score in this quarter. The Bulldogs defense seems to be bothering the Hawkeyes right at this point.
And the Hawks doing a little bit of standing around now on offense. Kenny Arnold trying to direct the Hawks. Arnold from 21 feet, and he falls down and does not get it. But Steve Waite gets it to Brookins. No good. And Lewis Lloyd.
Hawkeyes are going to have to work that ball underneath.
Watson with a hook. No good. Steve Waite high there for the rebound. Gets it to Gannon. Gannon to Arnold, and he'll shoot. No good. Tipped up by Waite. Boyle. Good.
Good positioning underneath that time by Kevin Boyle. Was able to come down and go back up with it. First points of the second half for the Hawks.
Hawks back on top by 6 as we reach the 16-minute mark here in the ball game. 40-34, a very low-scoring affair. Wright does not hit, and it goes out of bounds off of Boyle, and the Bulldogs will get another opportunity.
Looks like both teams now have switched from man-to-man defense, which they both used in the first half. Now they seem to both be in a zone.
Lewis Lloyd, tipped in by Watson.
Nobody under the board that time for the Hawkeyes. Watson had a clear angle for that tip.
Watson, a 6'6" sophomore out of the Bronx, has not played a lot in the first 7 Bulldog games, but he has done a superb job here against the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Iowa Fieldhouse. 4-point advantage for Iowa, 40-36. Vince Brookins for 2. Vince Brookins now with 14 points to lead the Hawkeyes. Lewis Lloyd has 17, excuse me.
Somebody has to get hot from outside for the Hawkeyes, like Brookins, because they're in a 2-3 zone, much like the Hawkeyes are in right now against the Bulldogs, and they've got to have somebody hit from outside to open up the inside.
The Hawks with very, very good defense will keep their hands way up high, and Watson wants to deal inside, but he is fouled. And the foul will be against Kenny Arnold. Kenny Arnold, his 4th personal, and Arnold cannot believe it. He had 3 quick ones in the first half. This time he'll just stay in there. Lute Olson says, we need you out there, Kenny. The Hawkeyes on top 42-36. One more foul, and Arnold is disqualified. To Lloyd, the pop right, started closely by Vince Brookins. Out to Angel, back in the ball game. Ron Angel out of Mason City. To Dave Johnson. Inside to Black Magic. Rejected by Wade. Foul by Wade. Wade appeared to get a hand on the ball and on the body, and he slammed down Lloyd, and Wade picked up his 3rd personal and the 3rd team foul on the Iowa Hawkeyes.
And as you can hear, the crowd does not like that call. As we saw Wade there just a minute ago, I think it was a good call by the official. I think Wade did get him with the body. There were a couple other people coming down on Lewis Lloyd, too, after he pump faked and then moved in for the shot, and he missed the first free throw.
Lloyd continues to be a little bit cold from the free throw line. His last opportunity, he also missed the first one, and he picked up the 2nd free throw. And this time the 2nd one will not go. So Lloyd misses an opportunity to pull the Bulldogs within 4, and now Iowa can put themselves up by 8. Arnold over to Brookins. Brookins cross court to Kevin Boyle. To Arnold again. Down the lane. Tipped up in there. No good. Brought down by Watson. Watson to Angel. And Angel hurries it down the court. Started by Brookins to Johnson. Back to Angel as Angel looks inside to Watson. Watson cannot shoot. To Johnson around in a hurry from 16 feet. No good. Vince Brookins, 4-on-1 break. And broken up nicely by Dave Johnson to Kenny Arnold on the baseline. No good. Mad scramble for the ball. The freshman Gannon gets it to Wade. And we have a foul. No basket.
Before the shot.
No basket. The foul on Tony Watson. So Tony Watson commits the foul. Steve Waite, the man who was fouled. And it was before the shot. Before the shot, that means the Hawkeyes will get the ball out of bounds.
Getting a little wild and woolly out there with the loose balls. They're tipping it around. Nobody seems to be able to come down with it with firm control.
Around the horn to Kevin Boyle. Boyle in the lane to Brookins over to Gannon from the baseline. No good. Gannon, his own rebound and a nice layup.
Good follow-up that time by Mark Gannon. Followed his own shot. It came right back to him, and he got the bucket.
The Hawkeyes lead is now 8, 44-36. 13 and a half minutes to go here in the ball game. And double coverage on Lewis Lloyd on the baseline. So Johnson tries to pump, and Wade comes down with it. The Hawks are using double coverage against Lewis Lloyd on the baseline to prevent him from scoring. The nation's leading scorer so far has 17. And Kevin Boyle just got a couple. Boyle now with 6. It's a 10-point lead, and Bob Ortigal and the Drake Bulldogs won a timeout. Iowa on top by 10. We'll be back in just a moment. Bulldogs whittled it down to 4 at 40-36. But that lead is now 10 as the Hawkeyes have scored the last 6 points in a row. They lead 46-36 as we take a look at Ronnie Lester, the man that the Hawkeyes very much missed. He is on the bench in street clothes with a knee injury. The Hawks hope to have him back in the next couple of weeks. The Bulldogs will get the ball out of bounds. Top right, going to Jeff Hill. Hill looks to Rick Watley, passes to Watley. Watley around to Hill to right. Right looking down inside to Lewis Lloyd. Watley again, cross court to right. To Hill, to Watley. And that Hawkeye defense is very tenacious as the Bulldogs cannot get it inside. Knocked out of bounds. It hit the cross post. And the Hawkeyes will get the ball. Full court pressure from the Drake Bulldogs. Under 13 minutes to go now in the ball game.
The Hawkeyes on defense that last time did a good job. Drake got a little over-anxious. They were doing a good job of holding the ball. Now they have to come back and see if Iowa can be as patient as Drake was.
Not a really patient shot from Kenny Arnold, but a good one nonetheless. Iowa on top by 12 points, their biggest lead, 48-36. Inside to Watson. He wanted to shoot but couldn't get an opportunity. Outside to Pop Wright. Wright averaging nearly 18 points a game. Around to Watley. Quickly the Bulldogs keep it going. Moving the ball around, trying to find an opening. They give it to Black Magic. Lewis Lloyd cannot hit. Kevin Boyle. And it's 3-on-2. But the Bulldogs in a hurry down. And Brookins hits. Brookins red hot. He now has 16 points. Iowa by 14. They have scored 10 points in a row. That's Watley and good. So that stretch meant 10 straight points for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Rick Watley, a 6'5 freshman who incidentally played his high school ball on an Air Force base in West Germany, scored the last 2 points for the Drake Bulldogs.
And he was just called for a foul. Down underneath, the first one on Watley. The fourth team foul, for the Bulldogs. And Coach Lute Olson's trying to tell his club just how they're going to run this.
A little bit of a timeout right now. Iowa on top by 12 points at this part. The Drake Bulldogs with 4 team fouls. The Iowa Hawkeyes with 3 team fouls. And I have been noticing something on the Hawkeye defense. They have just been swarming around Lewis Lloyd in the middle. I think that Lloyd is the need to just move around out there a little bit more. Right now he seems to be standing, and he needs much more of an opening to wheel and deal as he does so well.
Well, the Hawkeyes seem to be playing what amounts to a 2-2-1 zone defense. And that one man underneath seems to be kind of shadowing Lloyd wherever he goes back and forth across, up and down. And so then the other 4, when they shift, if they shift to the strong side where Lloyd is, they've got another man to help pick up on Lloyd. And the one time they did get the ball to him, Lloyd did not take the shot right away, ended up forcing a shot that he missed. And it was only until this last basket by Watley that the Bulldogs seemed to have any kind of penetration on that zone to get a man open within 10 feet or so for a good percentage shot.
Here's an interesting point. Lloyd does not force his shots very often. He's hit over 64% of them from the field, so he does take a good shot. We've seen the Bulldogs take a few kind of out of the poor selection variety, especially in the first half. Iowa now playing very, very good defense, and it has been a 12-point lead as we have 11 minutes and 33 seconds to go here in the ball game. Iowa will get the ball out of bounds. They have Kenny Arnold, Steve Waite, Mark Gannon, Vince Brookins, and Kevin Boyle in the ball game. And Arnold will try to get the ball, and it's tipped away by, Tony Watson tipped the ball away. So Arnold will get it out of bounds again. Just gets it into Boyle. Good pressure by Pop Wright. Arnold looking inside. Pace of the game has slowed down somewhat. Try to get it inside to Waite. Knocked out of bounds by Lewis Lloyd.
That time the Bulldogs seemed to be going back to a man-to-man defense. Apparently Coach Bob Orticle found out that the zone that he was playing earlier in the half resulted in those 10 straight points by the Hawkeyes, and he wants to get him back. Beautiful pass
Backdoor, Kenny Arnold to Mark Gannon. Mark Gannon now with 13 points, and we have a whistle.
Jeff Hill stepped out of bounds right near midcourt. Matter of fact, he did it about twice, and the back referee was the one to see it as Coach Lute Olson of the Hawkeye bench came jumping off the bench. Now let's see what happens. The referee is talking to Olson in his club, and Olson gets up now and tells his troops to stay down on the bench. Referee talking to Pop Wright as they try and unravel this. It appears that Hill stepped out of bounds here on the near side, and that is the call. And Mr. Gannon will, and now Kenny Arnold will inbound the ball for the Hawkeyes.
And they bring it back to Arnold. Lute Olson has a big smile on his face down there as the official told him to sit down. Don't get your people jumping up. We're here to call the game.
Mr. Brookins is definitely hot.
Vince Brookins with 18 points. His first start this year, and he is taking advantage of it. And we get to see the three-quarter press by the Hawkeyes. Lewis Lloyd, good. One thing that Lewis Lloyd does so well is we almost have a steal, but then we'll go outside to the Hawkeyes. Lewis Lloyd gets the ball in such good position that you just cannot block it. Will almost shoot from behind the back of his head. Iowa on top by 14, 54-40 with 10 minutes and 45 seconds. Full court pressure by the Drake Bulldogs. And Mark Gannon with his left hand gets it across to Kevin Boyle. Guarded closely by Pop Wright, who gets it to Kenny Arnold. Arnold to Brookins, who has 18 in the ball game. Brookins guarded by Lewis Lloyd, trying to get it inside to Steve Waite. Fronted in there nicely by Tony Watson. Kenny Arnold to Brookins, looks inside to Gannon, breaks free, no good. Waite on the rebound, and we do not get a foul. It appeared that Waite was hammered. Lewis Lloyd against Arnold, and Arnold has just fouled out. Kenny Arnold should have just let Lewis Lloyd take the fast break opportunity, and so Kenny Arnold will foul out.
Bob, I think that's just what Lute Olson was thinking. He wished Arnold would have let Lewis Lloyd go, as Arnold gets a good hand from the Hawkeye crowd as he sits down with 5 fouls with 10:08 left to go in the game. Lewis Lloyd will be to the line. The Hawkeyes lead 14 points, 54-40.
So Lewis Lloyd drew the foul. He wanted the basket, but he did not get it. And Kenny Arnold, who had 3 quick fouls in the first 3 minutes of the ball game, got a couple here in the second half, and he will sit down. So that means the Hawks will go to their number 3 point guard, Bobby Hansen, back into the ball game, who played so much in the first half. Right now, Bobby Hansen has 5 points. Kenny Arnold finished the game with only 2.
Lewis Lloyd missed both of his free throws, and they're giving the ball to Drake underneath. It looked like Wadley was the last man who had it out of bounds, but the referee didn't see it that way, so the Bulldogs will still get a chance after Lloyd missed both of his free throws.
Our officials today, George Solomon of the Big Ten and Jack Savage of the Missouri Valley Conference, representing the 2 conferences that these teams play. Both teams to start their conference play in the coming week. And we get a traveling call on Rick Watley. So Watley travels, and the Hawks will get the ball out of bounds.
That Hawkeye zone defense is working out very, very well for Coach Lute Olson. And considering the fact that Arnold is not in the game and that Lester has not played, I think that says a lot for Lute Olson's coaching of the Hawkeyes, that they have been able to perform so well, especially on defense.
Boyle gets it across to Hansen. I agree with you, Ken. Hansen, nice pass inside to Steve Waite. And Waite hurries down. Beautiful.
Now that is what you call an assist.
Iowa by 16 points now, 56-40. Their defense has been the difference. Pop Wright from way outside. Lewis Lloyd pumps once, punch twice. Cannot get it. Wright, no. And we have a foul on Vince Brookins.
Hawkeyes a little lax that time underneath the defensive boards as Lewis Lloyd had about 3 chances. And Pop Wright also had a chance or 2 along the way, but Brookins finally picks up the foul. That's his first, the 5th on Iowa. And Pop Wright goes to the line 75% from the charity stripe.
And the Bulldogs are just ice cold for the free throw line. Lewis Lloyd has missed at least a half a dozen free throws.
Ron Angel into the game for the Bulldogs as Jeff Hill sits down, and the Bulldogs are as cold from the free throw line this half as Iowa was in the first half.
The Bulldogs now have hit 2 of 8 free throws in the second half. Iowa by 15. Bobby Hansen now guarded by Ron Angel back into the ball game. Kevin Boyle gets it across to Brookins, and Brookins does not hit this time. Kevin Boyle almost pushed off, got the rebound, gets it out to Bobby Hansen. Hansen looking to Boyle, guarded closely by Wright. Bobby Hansen wants to go to work on Angel and scores. Bobby Hansen with 7 points. Iowa with their biggest lead now, 17 points. To Rick Watley, rejected by Vince Brookins. Watch the slam. You bet.
Great play all around by Brookins. Got the position, got the block, and he was all alone for the stuff. The Hawkeye fans going nuts. 60-41, 19-point lead for Iowa.
Rejected by Brookins, slammed by Brookins, and the Bulldogs hammer away at the offensive board. Lewis Lloyd wheels and deals in the middle, and we have a whistle. Offensive foul on Lewis Lloyd.
Both Bob Hansen and Mark Gannon are playing exceptionally well for the Hawkeyes. 4 freshmen. They have been involved in everything. They were both in position that time as Lloyd came through the lane and got the charging foul. Coach Bob Ortigal wants to talk it over with his Drake Bulldogs with 8:17 left. Iowa a 19-point lead, 60-41. Bob, in the first half, the Bulldogs shot 33% from the field, and with all the chances they missed, they can't be doing much better this half.
I doubt if they're even close to that 30% marker. Of course, they had pulled it very close at 40-36 at one point, and since that point, Iowa has outscored them 20-5. And Bob Ortigal has taken a very, very good timeout at this point to quiet this Iowa Fieldhouse crowd that was stomping its feet and going wild after Vince Brookins rejected a shot, broke away, and put it home left-handed for the slammer. And now Iowa on top by 19, 60-41 with 8:17 remaining. At this point in the ball game, Vince Brookins has 20 points. What a ball game in his first start. Mark Gannon has 13, Steve Waite with 8, Hansen with 7, Crafterson has 4, Kevin Boyle with 6, and Kenny Arnold, who fouled out a couple of moments ago, has 2 points. For Drake, Lewis Lloyd now has 19, Watson has 10, Pop Wright with 4, Dave Johnson with 2, Ernie Banks with a pair, Hill has 2, and Watley has 2. And the Hawkeyes will get the ball out of bounds after that Drake timeout.
Dave Johnson back into the game for the Bulldogs as Ricky Watley sits down.
Mark Gannon, who can go either way, goes behind his back that time to Bobby Hansen, 3-on-2 break. To Brookins in the corner, no good. Brookins has missed his last couple of shots after being crazy there for a while. To Pop Wright, to Ronnie Angel. Wright way out, and he hits. Now you know why he's averaging nearly 18 points a ball game. Vince Brookins, heavy pressure, Johnson and Lloyd. Ahead to Hansen, 2-on-1 break. Only Watson to beat, and he does. Bobby Hansen, the freshman, looking very good. Having to come in, the number 3 point guard, and playing most of this ball game because Lester was hurt and Arnold fouled out. Hansen now with 9. And Pop Wright with a couple in a row. Iowa on top 62-45 and seemingly in control of this ball game. Quickly ahead to Hansen. Lloyd to beat. Foul on Lloyd.
Nice pass that time by Kevin Boyle up ahead to Hansen, but it was almost a bad pass, too, because the defenseman for the Bulldogs almost got his hands on it.
Hansen did a very good job of protecting the ball. He went into the basket, of course, with his left hand and shielded himself with the body. Lloyd, the only way he could get to the ball is by fouling, and he did foul. His 3rd personal and the 6th team foul on the Drake Bulldogs. At the free throw line, Bobby Hansen. No good.
Hansen looking for his 10th point on the game as Iowa will be in the bonus the next time. Of course, this was a shooting foul.
And this one is good. Bobby Hansen with 10 points. A couple of people who have played on the bench playing very good today. Bobby Hansen and Vince Brookins as Popright cannot hit, and Vince Brookins goes way high in the air to bring it down. Popright almost fouls him, and Brookins ahead to Boyle. Boyle, nice pass inside to Waite, who dribbles it off his knee out of bounds.
Waite couldn't hold on to it. Tony Watson all over Waite underneath, putting some good pressure on as the Bulldogs try and cut down that big Iowa lead.
Angel from way outside. Nice touch. And it's a 16-point advantage. We're under 7 minutes to go. Iowa 63, Drake 47.
And Lewis Lloyd has just picked up foul number 4 as he reached around Vince Brookins.
And that will mean that Brookins will go to the free throw line to shoot 1 and 1.
Foul on number 30 for Drake.
As that is the 7th team foul on the Bulldogs.
And the 17th foul.
Coach Lute Olson talking to 3/5 of his team out there, Wade, Brookins, and Hansen. As Brookins will go to the line to try
The Drake lineup. Number
and add
20
points
is
number 21 and 22.
Of course, nobody doubted that Vince Brookins could play offense, but what I'm impressed with this afternoon is the way he has been playing on defense. His defense had been suspect, and he is playing a good defense, as are the entire Hawkeye team. And the Bulldogs running into a problem that just every Iowa team, opponent has had, and that is they just can't hit from outside. And Brookins cannot hit from the free throw line, but rebounded by Waite. And Lewis Lloyd runs over a couple of people as he brings home the rebound. Top right, tipped away nicely by Hansen, brought down by Gannon. Credit the steal there to Bobby Hansen, who tipped it away from Pop right. Kevin Boyle almost passes the ball out of bounds, but Hansen recovers. He'll try it down the middle. Pop right, all alone. See if he goes to the slam. No, nice and easy.
Basket by Popright.
Wanted to make sure, and Iowa now 14 points, 63 to 49 in the lead over the Drake Bulldogs. Boyle to Hansen. Hansen, who just about had it stolen, almost does again. Almost a foul by Pop right. To Boyle from 15, no good. Lewis Lloyd across the right, who wheels and deals and gives it to Lloyd, and I believe we'll have an offensive foul. Yes, we will.
On Popright. Again, good positioning that time by Bobby Hansen. That's the second time this happened that he has been able to get the position and draw the offensive foul. The Hawkeyes with a 14-point lead, 63-49, 5:50 remaining in the game as Steve Crafterson prepares to come in. And there's a timeout on the court as they're going to talk things over. The Hawkeyes have been able to keep that lead out there, but the Bulldogs have been fighting back a little bit since the last time out.
The Bulldogs have been behind a couple of times in the second half this year, most notably at Air Force in about the only other game that they played on the road this year. And they were behind there late in the ball game by 5 to 7 points, but they came back and won that game over the Air Force Academy. It's going to be a tough one to overcome a 14-point lead, however, as Iowa is on top at this point, 63 to 49. Mr. Class himself, I'll tell you what, Lute Olson, really classy guy out down there talking it over with the Hawkeyes. They'll have a lineup when he comes back that will include Steve Crafterson. We'll probably also see Bobby Hansen and Kevin Boyle and Vince Brookins in there. We'll see if either Mark Gannon or Steve Waite sits down for the Hawkeyes.
Meanwhile, Pop Wright checking the scoreboard in the Drake huddle as he sees they're down by 14. I'm sure Drake, is, besides beating Iowa in the Mythical State Championship, I think that if Drake goes on to beat Iowa, they probably would have cracked the top 20 in the nation's rankings, because that would put them up to 8-0, and they've beaten a couple of tough foes along the way. And the Hawkeyes, like we mentioned once or twice before, without Ronnie Lester, now without Kenny Arnold, who fouled out rather early in the game, they've proved what kind of team they are, I think, by keeping up and organizing and getting together and playing the game that they have so far.
So Mark Gannon will sit down, and we'll have that big lineup with Crafterson, Waite, and Brookins on the front line. Kevin Boyle at one guard spot, and Bobby Hansen at the other one, and Bobby Hansen will be at the free throw line. Shooting one and the bonus. Bobby Hansen with 10 points in the ball game. And Hansen always taking his time, and inside, nice rebound by Waite. Tipped out to Hansen, who scores it. He does not get the free throw, but he'll get the next two. You bet. So 65-49, Iowa's lead is 16. Hill inside to Watson for 2.
Number 31.
Good eyes that time by Hill, finding Watson wide open underneath for the bucket as Boyle brings the ball up court against some pressure from Pop Wright.
If anything has been suspect in that Iowa defense, without Lester and Arnold, the Drake Bulldogs have gotten the ball inside a couple of times, so for some pretty easy layups, and that is usually not the case against Iowa. Tipped out by Boyle, and Boyle tipped away, stolen by Wright, who gets it to Hill. Knocked down by Brookins, but goaltending on Vince Brookins, who came out of nowhere to reject that one.
Lute Olson up by midcourt looking at that. I think, my opinion, that was a good block by Brookins. I think the referee thought that the ball was on its down arc when Brookins hit it, therefore the goaltending call.
Hawks will get it out of bounds again as Lewis Lloyd knocks it out of bounds. Steve Waite.
Mark Gannon coming back into the game for the Hawkeyes. Steve Krasison will sit down.
Back on the Hawkeye lineup, number 44.
And Gannon will inbound the ball as the Bulldogs put full court pressure on the Hawkeyes as they trail by 12 and need some points on the board.
They need a couple of steals out there. Bobby Hansen protecting the ball very well. Gets it across to Vince Brookins. Inside to Wade, who deals on Lewis. And Lloyd comes down, one-hand rebound, 3-on-1 break. Angel on the layup. No foul is called. Yes, a foul is called on Kevin Boyle. We had a late whistle. And Kevin Boyle picks up his second personal in the ballgame, Iowa's 6th team foul. But Ron Angel will go to the line to shoot a pair. Kevin Boyle trailing on the play. Hit Angel just as he went up for the layup.
Now, the referees are discussing things with Lute Olson and Bob Orticle over at the scorer's bench. I'm not sure what the problem is down there, but they seem to get it figured out. Ron Angel will be to the free throw line for the Bulldogs. These are a couple of clutch free throws. They need these free throws. But looking at the stats from the free throw stripe, Angel is 0 for 1 so far this year. Just improved his average by half.
Angel hits the first one. The advantage is 11, and the Bulldogs definitely within striking distance. They have cut into a big Iowa lead, and it is now 10. Full court pressure. Hansen gets it to Gannon. The two freshmen working well there in the back court. Up to Hannon. Goes between his legs. Almost a foul there by Watson inside to Boyle for the baseline for 2. Kevin Boyle hit it in front of a sliding Pop Wright.
8 points on the night now for Kevin Boyle playing in that off-guard position. Out of bounds. Bad pass just a little bit too high for Tony Watson to handle. And the Hawkeyes will get the ball inbounds against that full court pressure.
And Wade on the breakaway has only Lloyd to break. And they say a good block. I'll tell you what, it was a heck of a block anyway. Foul or no. And the Hawkeyes settle it down just a little bit. The fans here did not like the call, but it did appear that it was a good block by Lewis Lloyd on Steve Waite.
And now Pop Wright.
How he did not foul him, I do not know.
Yeah, from our angle, we could not tell whether he fouled him, but he went flying into the folks sitting behind the basket to our left. Now Pop Wright has picked up his third foul as he fouled Bob Hansen, and Hansen will be to the line for the 1-and-1.
Bobby Hansen seems to be at the line almost the entire second half, doesn't he?
And even when he hasn't made it like the last time, he ends up getting the buckets, so he's living a charmed life today.
You bet. Bobby Hansen with 12 points at this point, and now he has 13. Yes, it did go in. Lewis Lloyd wanted to knock it out of there. Lloyd, who can definitely sky and can play both ends of the court. Of course, the Hawkeye fans wanted him to foul out, and he does have 4 fouls at this point. And we saw what he did against Steve Waite. He just rejected it nicely, went flying into the stands. Bobby Hansen hits a couple. Iowa now by 14, under 4 minutes to play now, 69-55. To Angel inside to Lewis Lloyd, tipped away by Waite.
And the Bulldogs will retain possession as the Bulldogs are trying to get that ball into Lloyd so he can make the moves inside and try and pick up maybe a couple three-point plays along the way.
Pop Wright does not hit. Out of bounds off of Vince Brookins as the Hawks continue to use a front man and a back man on Lewis Lloyd. appeared almost that we were going to get an offensive foul, but instead it is against Mark Gannon, only his first personal, and Lewis Lloyd will go to the free throw line to shoot 2 shots. 7th team foul, both teams now in the bonus, but that was a shooting foul, so Lewis Lloyd, living a very charmed life, appeared to have committed a couple of fouls that were not called.
Mark Gannon that time could have gotten the call. That was one of those fouls, as you see Lewis Lloyd standing at the charity stripe, that was one of those calls that really could have gone either way. This time it went against Gannon, and Lloyd will try it here, and he sinks it. 13-point lead for the Hawkeyes.
Lloyd, incredible. 2 for 8 for the free throw line. As good a shooter as he is, it's really unbelievable that he has hit only 2 of 8 free throws today.
Especially since he's been shooting 72% on the year so far.
Mark Gannon in the corner. A little bit of trouble. Almost a foul by Jeff Hill. Bobby Hansen has it. Hansen guarded closely by Angel. Opportunity for the back door. Hansen. And the foul is against Hansen. Offensive foul. As Tony Watson did an outstanding job to draw that foul.
Now, if the basket had gone in, I'm sure that would have counted, because the foul against Hansen was after the ball was released and he was on his way down. And as you mentioned, Tony Watson, good position, and he will be to the free throw line for 1-1 as both teams are now in the bonus with 3:17 left to go in the game. And Watson will be trying to cut the Iowa lead to 11.
Watson, the number 2 scorer for the Drake Bulldogs this afternoon. He has 12 points. A chance to hit a couple of more and cut that deficit to 11. 3 minutes and 17 seconds to go here in the ball game. Iowa now on top 69-57. And the second one is no good. Kevin Boyle, the outside man, comes down with it. Double team. Gets it to Bobby Hansen. Vince Brookins wide open in the corner, but he brings it out on top. So far, we have not seen that 4-corner offense except for at the end of the first half by the Hawkeyes. They use a little bit of a weave there. We get the foul call on top right. So right on the foul, Kevin Boyle to the free throw line.
Wright looked a little surprised that he got the foul call on him, and I was too a little bit, because the refs today don't seem to be enforcing the hands on the defender call that much, which is what this one was.
A hand-checking foul on Pop Wright. And Kevin Boyle will go to the free throw line. 1 in the bonus.
83% from the line is Boyle. First chance today, I believe, from the line, and he makes it good.
Boyle now with 9 points in the ball game, and we're seeing a lot of free throw shooting here in the waning moments of this ball game. The Drake Bulldogs, of course, are going to have to hit a lot better than they have so far. They have not been hitting well from the charity stripe. And the Hawkeyes seem to have turned their fortunes around there. The lead now is 14, under 3 minutes to go now. 71-57, Iowa on top of Drake. Pop right from the corner, and pops it in. 71-59 for the popper. And the pass is thrown out of bounds by Mark Gannon. And Jeff Hill doing a good job of shielding the ball from Vince Brookins. And Drake will get it out of bounds. Drake
and Lute Olson wants a timeout. He didn't like the way things were shaping up that time, as Brookins was cut off on that inbound pass. 2:44 left, 71-59. Iowa leads Drake. And the scoring for the Hawkeyes has been very balanced, as it has been basically on both ends. Brookins has 20, Gannon 13, Bobby Hansen 14, Kevin Boyle 10, Wade is added 8, Craftsison 4, and Kenny Arnold had a pair, 2 points before he fouled out. And Lewis Lloyd isn't running away with the Drake scoring derby, as has been his custom so far this year.
Usually he has a little over 30 points, and I've seen him go to the basket a couple of times out here this afternoon, and he does an outstanding job. They just haven't been getting the ball to him, and that is because of that Hawkeye defense. Lloyd with 20, Watson with 13, and Wright with 12, the 3 men in double figures for the Drake Bulldogs. At this point of the ball game, I think you're going to have to see an extremely tenacious press put on by Drake. They've got to go against some guards who are a little bit inexperienced in there for the Hawks at this point. Hansen and Boyle and Gannon trying to bring the ball up. And you've got to get a couple of steals clean without the foul call. That's the most important thing for Drake at this point, down 12 with 2:44 to go.
But still, with only 2:44 left and they are trailing by 12 points, they not only have to come down and get get their own bucket right away, they then have to either get the clean steal or make a clean foul as opposed to a dirty foul, of course. But they've got to get the foul if they have a chance of getting the ball back, because the Hawkeyes have been very patient on offense looking for the open man.
Get those dirty fouls out of the game. You bet.
You got it.
Pop right to Angel, and Angel from 18 is good.
Now, they need to get the ball back in a hurry. A steal would be preferable, but I wouldn't be surprised if they fouled somebody.
Hansen, wide open. Guarded closely by Ron Angel. Almost pushed down, and finally the foul is called. Angel obviously pushed Bobby Hansen, and it took a couple of seconds there before we got a foul call. Iowa on top at this point, 71-61, and Bobby Hansen in his second home tonight at the free throw line.
Angel wanted that foul to get somebody the charity stripe, and I think he was beginning to think the referee wasn't going to call it.
Push him one time, didn't work. Push him again, you bet.
You don't succeed at first, try again.
Bobby Hansen on the 1-and-1, and he does not hit. Rebounded inside by Waite, knocked away, and there's a mad scramble. And finally, Mark Gannon gets it to Brookins. No basket, and we have a foul by Hill. Hill with the foul.
That's Hill's fourth.
Foul charge to number 20, Jeff Hill, his fourth.
And Mark Gannon is going to be going to the free throw line, the other freshman. And now we get Randy Norton into the ball game. Bobby Hansen going to sit down. He's a little bit tired. What a ball game he's played. Bobby Hansen with 14 points, having to come in and play the point position because Ronnie Lester was hurt and Kenny Arnold was fouling out.
And the crowd of 13,365, a nice hand for the youngster as he sat down, and his freshman counterpart Mark Gannon now to the line. He's in the 1-and-1.
And the Hawks continue to be a little bit cold, as are the Bulldogs at the free throw line. And the Bulldogs must score in a hurry. Angel scored the last time. He gets it back out in front. As the Hawk defense looks good again. Try to get it into Lewis Lloyd. They do. Lloyd, overweight, tipped in there very, very nicely by Tony Watson. Watson with 15 points in the ball game. The advantage is now cut to 8. Ahead to Randy Norton. Norton coming off the injured list back into the ball game.
And they've gone
Kevin Boyle, there's that four corner. We expected to see it. Finally, in the final couple of minutes of the ball game, we do. Kevin Boyle has it stolen by Pop Wright. Ahead to Hill. To Wright from 18. No good. Battle, and we have a jump ball. This one really won by the Hawkeyes because Steve Waite at 6'10" will be going against Jeff Hill, who is only 6'1". 9 inches, I think, can mean a difference.
Yes, minute 28 left. The Bulldogs need to control this tip to cut that Iowa margin down to 6 points.
Iowa 71-63, a minute 28 to go in the ball game. The Bulldogs trying a miracle comeback. Tip to Lewis Lloyd, tipped away, and the ball, mad scramble, and we're going to get a foul call on Ron Angel as he went over the back of Randy Norton, it appeared, on that scramble on the floor.
And Bob Ortico does not like the call as he's trying to discuss it with the referee. And he's still arguing down there with the referee. The referee's telling him to cool off a little bit, sit down, but Ortico still doesn't like the call. Minute 22 left. You see Bob Ortico and Lute Olson there in the background moving out to talk to Randy Norton.
I think that what Ortico is saying is that Angel appeared as if he were going to go over the back. And he did not, because at the last possible moment, Norton seemed to kind of move himself. And I don't think really very much contact was made there. Usually they just kind of wait until everybody unscrambles before anything is called. But that was not the case. And Randy Norton in the pressure cooker puts one home. 72-63, 1:22 to go in the ball game. And Randy Norton, as cool as a cucumber, the sophomore out of Iowa City, Regina, played with Mark Gannon for the Regals. Try to get it inside to Watson. Nice move. And Lewis Lloyd tries it again, and Kevin Boyle is called for the foul. And Lewis Lloyd will go to the free throw line.
The foul
Neither team seeming to be able to get any advantage underneath the void here late in the game as shots are being missed and they're being tipped around once or twice. And that's caused some of the abundance of fouls that we've been suffering from here in the past few minutes as Lloyd eyes the basket, and he misses it. Comes back out to Angel.
Lewis Lloyd, 2 of 9, incredible. And Mark Gannon fighting, almost fouled in there by Watson, gets it ahead to Wade. Wade tries to get it to Brookins, stolen away by Angel. Bad pass. Brookins just barely able to save that pass from Krasterson. Gives it to Lewis Lloyd, and he'll go to work, drops the ball, and cannot let it go down. Angel struggling for the ball. It bounces off his head, knocks his halo off of his head there, and we have a foul call. It will go against Iowa. The ball bouncing around all over the place.
It's almost like a hot potato out there. Nobody can get the handle on it. The foul called on Randy Norton. That will be his first. And it was almost like a balancing act. The ball spinning around on Angel's head there for a moment.
It was incredible. It was on the top of his head. It was on his forehead, on the back of his head, his shoulder, his chin. It was everywhere except for in his hand. He was finally fouled by Norton. And finally the Bulldogs hit a free throw. As some people try to start to make their way to the exits here. Game's certainly not over, even though there's 40 seconds to go. Drake behind by 9. Iowa 73, Drake 64. The second one, no good. Rebounded by Gannon. Almost a foul in there by Watson. Wright grabs Norton.
We've got
yes, that was a foul. And the first one will be back here.
Will be the one back
Pop
here against Pop Wright.
Lewis Lloyd fouled a little bit later. And it's so loud in here, the officials finally deciding, you bet, the first one will have to go against Pop Wright.
Drake is now just basically trying to grab somebody to get the foul called, so Iowa can't run off the last 34 seconds that are left in the game on their offense. And that is the fifth personal on Pop Wright, and he sits down, falling out with 34 seconds left to go in the game with 12 points.
6 below his average. Pop Wright will sit down. And we'll get Naren Monk in there, 6'3" senior out of Detroit, back in the lineup to replace Pop Wright.
And Randy Norton will be to the charity stripe. He just sank 2 there very coolly a few seconds ago. He has another chance. And
we'll get a timeout here with Drake calling the timeout. They're down by 9. The coaches are going to talk it over a little bit. This is the kind of a thing where you need a miracle comeback. I mean, you've got to get a couple of steals. You got to get the right fouls. The guy's got to not make the fouls. It's the only way that the Bulldogs are going to come back. Interestingly enough, it's kind of almost comedy out there. Some of the Bulldogs are just grabbing at straws almost, trying to foul, and the officials don't seem to want to call it the first time.
Yeah, they've got to do that to try and get their hands back on the ball again. I'm sure Bob Ortico called this timeout this time to try and put a little bit more pressure on Randy Norton, because 73-64, Iowa has a 9-point lead with 34 seconds left. Well, you know, there's people filing out of here now, but stranger things have happened. The Bulldogs could still win this game.
It would be a miracle comeback, certainly. Iowa threatening to win its second straight game over the Bulldogs. They picked up a win last year, 112-73 in Iowa City after losing earlier in Des Moines, 72-69.
Bob, if the Hawkeyes hang on and win this one, it'll give them a big lift going into Big Ten play, which they start Thursday, I believe, at Illinois. And without Ronnie Lester, who probably will not be ready to go in that game, he probably won't be ready for another week or so. I think this will help the confidence of Kenny Arnold, even though I think he was probably pressing a little bit, trying to take Lester's place. He fouled out. And besides that, the freshmen, Gannon and Hansen, I think it'll be a good confidence builder for them.
Of course, they do go into Big Ten play there against Illinois and Michigan on the road. And then back here Thursday, January 10th against Ohio State. And we'll have that game for you live. That's Thursday night, January 10th at 7:30 against the highly rated Buckeyes. Norton coolly sinks a couple of more, and Drake in a hurry. Watson goes way up in the air, and we have a whistle. And the foul is on Vince Brookins, as Iowa now on top by 11 with 27 seconds to go, 75-64.
Tony Watson will be to the charity stripe for the Bulldogs, as Brookins was called on the foul.
Watson with 15 points in the ball game, second only to Lewis Lloyd's 20. And that 20 points is a remarkable achievement by this Hawkeye defense. Lewis Lloyd averaging 31.9. His biggest problem, the fact that he was ice cold from the free throw line, hitting only 2 of 9 from the free throw line. But Watson is hot there. He hits a couple, and Iowa up by 9. Randy Norton on the breakaway, only one man to break. And Lewis Lloyd, who appeared to make a clean block, has just fouled out. Got barely a little bit of the hand. Randy Norton and Lewis Lloyd will sit down.
Yeah, good inbounds pass that time by Gannon. Threw it 3/4 of the length down the court to Norton, who had the breakaway. Lloyd came out of nowhere and made what appeared to be a clean block. The referee did not think so. And so with 20 points, almost 12 under his season average, Lewis Lloyd sits down.
Leading scorer in the nation and definitely one of the most impressive players in college basketball in the nation. A young man that you will hear a lot about as Drake tries to go after that Missouri Valley Conference title. Replacing him is Craig Stahl, a 6'8 senior out of Palm Springs, California.
As Norton missed both of the free throws that time.
Angel quickly over to Nayron Monk. Monk cannot hit. Watson climbing the ladder and foul on Gannon with 10 seconds to go.
Watson was trying to get his body positioned so he could save the ball and not go out of bounds. As we see the scoreboard with 10 seconds left on it. And Gannon was given a little ground, but apparently he didn't give enough. And Watson will be back to the free throw line. 75-66, the Hawkeyes up 1-1 for Watson.
Mark Gannon comes down with a rebound. What a game he's played. 13 points for Mark Gannon. And we get a foul by Drake. Jeff Hill, amongst others, grabbing onto Mark Gannon as he came down with a rebound.
And Jeff Hill has fouled out of the game. That is his 5th foul.
So the third man for the Drake Bulldogs has fouled out. Jeff Hill has just fouled out. Earlier it was Pop Wright, and Lewis Lloyd also went.
And Hill leaves the game with 4 points. He'll be replaced by number 14, Terry Youngbauer, a freshman out of Sussex, Wisconsin, 6'1", 170 pounds.
Going to the free throw line, Mark Gannon.
And all the Hawkeyes are down at the other end of the court with just 8 seconds left. They're conceding this rebound, and they'll probably just stand there and watch the clock run out when Drake gets the ball back.
Gannon now with 14 points in the ball game, tied second honors with Bobby Hansen, who also has 14. Vince Brookins has 20 points. Gannon hits a pair, now with 15 points in the ball game. Iowa on top by 11, cruising to their 9th victory. Ron Angel, off the glance, no good. Scramble, and that's it. Iowa has defeated Drake for the mythical state championship. Iowa 77, Drake 66. We'll be right back. Bulldog today, 77-66. Ken Hughey, your final thoughts on the ball game?
Well, the Hawkeyes did a good job of defensing Lewis Lloyd, especially in the second half when he's been known to be a money-type ball player. He's been scoring a lot in the second half. They shut him down in the second half with a good zone defense. And you can't say enough about the Hawkeyes pulling together like they did with Ronnie Lester out, Kenny Arnold in foul trouble throughout the game. Really, Kenny wasn't much of a factor in this game. And Vince Brookins with 20 points led the way for the Hawkeyes. And I'm sure Coach Lute Olson has to be pleased with the way his team has performed without their All-American.
Do you think it gets them ready for the Big Ten? Of course, they open it against Illinois in Champaign next Thursday night before going to Michigan.
I think so, yes. Like I said before, the confidence factor is probably the biggest thing, getting Gannon in there with 15 points, Hansen with 14. The two freshmen played superbly most of the game. And I think it leads into the Big Ten very well. And it'll be interesting to see what happens, and it'll also be interesting to see how soon Ronnie Lester will be back.
Okay, so Iowa has won its 9th ball game of the season. Drake has lost its first one, and that's the way it is. Iowa has defeated Drake by a score of 77-66. Bob Hogue for Ken Hughey saying so long for now.